Trump, how's that feel? Life is good, huh? I mean, I thought that was going to be the most sordid thing, but not by far. By far, it's not right now. I'm sorry. Those are things in the news. Those are things far away. This is right here down on Miller train station, driving along the street. Boom, boom, right in the head. I don't know what to do with that. Do you? It's been bugging me all weekend long. Just couldn't sleep. I don't know what you do when someone's driving along the street and a car full of somebody pulls up and shoots him, and then he's just dead. That life is over. Changed like that. A whole family just kind of destroyed. Maybe even a whole extended family. I don't know. I'm at a loss of words. So I'm going to move on from that one, and I'm going to say that I'm going to say goodbye to my friend Terry Conley. He'll come up again. Sister's going to come in this week, and we're going to talk about the reward, because you need reward sometimes. If it was a gang initiation, what would somebody do for $10,000, huh? A lot, I imagine. What about the infrastructure of the Gary police? Do they have enough police to police Gary? Are they doing enough in the death of Terry Conley? I don't know the answers to that. But in a tradition of bad news this morning, I've got to tell you that 2 little kids in Gary were killed over the weekend in a fire. One of them jumped out into the hands of an onlooker, or to people that were gathered down there, and then 2 others burned to death inside. And I don't know why that's my job to tell you about that, but it is. And here you go. According to the Times, 2 children dead. 1 survives 4th floor jump. 2 children died Sunday while another leaped from the burning 4th floor of a Lakeshore Dunes Apartments building in Gary's Miller neighborhood. Actually, if you think about it, really right not too far from where Terry Conley was shot. 2 children, a 5-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl, suffered smoke inhalation and minor burns in the fire. They were transported in critical condition. Lake County Coroner's Office declared Jane and John Doe from Lakeshore Dunes, both African American, dead at the hospital at 12:35 p.m. Sunday. So it's a Sunday morning fire. As the apartment building burned, an 8-year-old boy survived a dramatic leap into a basket held by neighbors in what one bystander called a miracle. That's 4 floors into a basket. That is a miracle. The blaze started on the 4th floor, rendered the entire building at least temporarily inhabitable. Jones confirmed the 8-year-old boy jumped from the burning 4th floor, and neighbors caught him in a bucket. So 2 children were dead, and 1 was able to get out. So I am so sorry that we have to understand the reality of what's going on around here right now. And just to share with you guys this morning, I'm driving over here. Hey, big truck, pizza truck. Every day, I'm driving over here. Every day, I'm driving or riding my bike pretty soon. I don't ride my bike in the winter as much now because it takes so long to put all the crap on. Just like as soon as it warms up, I'll be riding my bike. I'm on my way over here. Every single freaking day, I'm excited to talk to you guys. I really am. We're all hanging out together. Hey, what's weather? Hey, thanks! Thanks for beeping! I like the beepers. I like the big trucks. I like the phone calls. I like the texts. You guys watching on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Every single day. Except today. I'm driving over here today, and I'm like, I got to talk about my buddy Terry Conley, because this is not just my friend dying, or a Munster kid who moved to Gary and lived on the beach dying. No, this is a guy driving down the street getting shot in the head. That is a news story. There's a $10,000 reward that leads to the conviction of his killer or killers. I got to talk about Emma Gonzalez and gun control and 17 dead, 15 injured in Parkland because students are protesting all over America on Saturday. All over. Everywhere. Linked by a cause. And they're young. And they're angry. And there's death. And we got to talk about Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump. Who cares that they had a sordid affair? But don't you care if somebody came up there and told her, hey, listen, don't want anything bad to happen to your little baby there if you talk about Donald Trump. Wouldn't that be a bad thing? Wouldn't that be a bad thing? Wouldn't that be a bad thing if somebody gave $130,000 in violation of election laws? Yes, that would be a bad thing. I'm going to talk about that. We're going to hear a little couple clips from that. But here I am from 5:30 to 6 standing out on Indianapolis Boulevard. And I just want you to know that if you feel sometimes that you are being overwhelmed by news that you don't want to hear anymore, I get it. And we will try to digest it as best we could, gluten-free. But you are not alone. For I carry it with you. I carry it this morning. For the first time in years, I'm driving down here, and I don't want to start talking. But we do. We soldier on. We keep moving on. It's a great weekend. We had a great time over at Buffalo Wild Wings on Friday night. Thanks for everybody who came out. I emceed the coaches show over there. We did a bunch of baseball and softball games over the weekend. We did what we're supposed to do here. But some things just don't change, man. Day after day, it just seems like we've been in a funk in America, in the region. When do we get out of our funk? I don't know. We'll talk about it. AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM. Also, streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you would rather not catch us on Facebook, you can catch us on Twitter. It's WJOB 1230 1047. You can also get us on WJOB 1230 on YouTube. You can also get us where most of you are still watching us on Facebook. And that makes us the voice and face of the region.
You know, I enjoy watching basketball at home, but I think we should go over to Johnny's Tap in Munster for drinks and fun.
Yeah, I like going to Johnny's Tap.
Speaking of fun, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. and Mrs. Fun. Mr. Who and Mrs. Who? Mr. and Mrs. Fun, but they're at Johnny's Tap.
Okay, I'll see you there, at the corner of Broadmoor and Calumet Avenue. Yeah, I like going to Johnny's Tap.
Johnny's Tap. New ownership, now smoke-free, and still the home of Mr. and Mrs. Fun.
A real neighborhood type of place.
Carpenters Local 599 joins with other Carpenter locals to build the local economy and has been doing so for over 117 years. We are proud to be a member of the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters, which is threefold: training, professionalism, and partnership. We also offer some of the best benefits in the industry. To find out how to become a member of Carpenters Local 599, contact us at 219-942-0518 or log on to ikorcc.com.
Baxter Printing, located at 3837 Ridge Road in Highland, is a family-owned and operated union print shop that has been serving Northwest Indiana for over 60 years. Our list of satisfied customers range from union locals and politicians to the everyday entrepreneur working hard to get their business off the ground. We help make that happen through our expert design and advice, creating everything from every-door direct mailers to business cards and banners. Why don't you let the Tarosi family at Baxter Printing assist you in your next project? Call us today at 923-1999 and hear me say, Baxter Printing.
Would you go to a doctor that isn't board certified? No, of course not. Then why would you trust in a lawyer that isn't board certified? If you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, get someone that's a board certified civil trial specialist by the National Board of Trial Advocacy. Get someone with over 20 years experience who's a member of the Best Lawyers of America and Indiana Super Lawyers and has achieved the highest possible peer review rating of AV by Martindale-Hubbell. Get Gladish. Attorney David Gladish in Highland and his team will deal with the insurance company and its attorneys while you put your life back together. Experience, ratings, and board certification really do matter. Get Gladish. For a free consultation, call 219-838-1900, 838-1900, or visit dgladishlaw.com. That's the letter D, Gladish law.com.
This is Rich Taylor, and you're listening to AM 1230 and 104.7 FM in Hammond, Indiana.
He dips his chocolate donuts in milk, uses 2 balls, 1 stick to golf, writes and edits his own blog. Sources say he has thousands of viewers on Facebook Live, and Occidental College confirms he blocked soft-serve lefty Barry Obama's jump shot in the rec building twice. He is Jim Deedlow, host of JED in the Region, heard weekday mornings on WJOB AM 1230 and 104.7 FM.
Yes, he is, AM 1230 WJOB. And I'm hanging out here in the WJOB studios. Ryan, I'm a little hot. If you could unhot me there. There you go. I know I'm, to some of you women walking around, or maybe even some of you guys that have certain tendencies, I'm more than a little hot. I'm smoking hot. Walking down the canned good aisles of Strachan Van Til yesterday. By the way, does the whole world wait to go shopping until about 1 o'clock on Sunday at Strachan Van Til in Highland? It was packed in a good way. I met a guy, a Vietnam vet, at the deli counter. He was saying, I'm like, well, why don't you come on the show? He's telling me all these things about running missions. He was on a recon. He goes, yeah, I'm up there in a 2-man flight, and we could not. We didn't have any guns, but we were getting shot at. So I'm like, wow, that's kind of a crazy story. Why don't you come on and tell me on? Oh, no, it's still classified. I'm like, dude, that was 50 years ago. Nope, 1968, 2018, doesn't matter. Still classified. Yes, can I have a half pound of Krakow? And anyways, if you just talk to people, they tell you such great stories. You know what I mean? My wife's like, why are you talking to that person? I go, I don't know. You could probably have something I can use on the show, and I just like talking to people. But I ran into this Vietnam vet several times in the store, and I just hope, he says he listens, so maybe, just maybe, you'll come on, because you're the kind of person I like to talk to. Hey, taking a look at Track 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan. You know what? I don't see much traffic. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. La Carajana. You guys having a little trouble with the lights this morning? There's no power up there, huh? That's the problem. What about these lights over here, huh? All right, well, why don't we take one of those lights and plug it in somewhere else? Because I'm standing in the dark. Are people watching us in the dark right now? Yeah, there's a picture up right now. So I apologize. You guys, none of the lights are working. So that probably means that a fuse blew. So do you know where they are? Christina's on it, right? So I'm just going to talk, and we're going to do old school radio here for a second. And 294, we got all that. Let's take a look at the weather going forward. And you're looking at a chilly day this morning, and then the rest of the week starts to warm up. Let's call it a high of 50, a shower late in the afternoon today. Tonight, mild with periods of rain. Tomorrow, cloudy, a little rain and breezy. And then going forward, basically you have a chance of rain, let's see, today, tomorrow, and maybe more like on Saturday would be your next one, I guess, huh? Yeah, so let's go with today, tomorrow, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday should be decent days. So a high today of around 50, 57, 55, 53, and then by Friday again it gets chilly and gets down into the 20s overnight. So maybe a little rain later today and then a little rain tomorrow. And then we'll figure it out because I'm getting clashing forecasts. Weather brought to you by our good friends at Local 599. All right, they're working on some lights right now. Sorry about the little delay for you folks on the video. And so I'm standing here in a studio along Indianapolis Boulevard in the Purdue Northwest Commercialization Center, actually just totally by myself. And if you guys have been fans of the show for a long time, you know that in the depths of the '09 recession, everybody just did their show by themselves on the radio, just on AM radio. Now we're on AM, FM, and streaming live on the internet. We're also on video in 3 places, but it was like the old days where I would just do the show by myself and there'd be nobody else in there. And I'd answer the phones by myself. I'd have to go answer the door during the show. I'd have to put a song on it. Hey, somebody's here. Oh, I got a package delivery. All right, guys, I'll be right back with you on the voice of the region. And then I'd go pick up the package and I'd come back and then we talk some more. Well, that's what it is right now. All right, what's going on over the weekend? And we did talk a little bit about the fire in Gary. That is just more than we can just kind of digest at this point. And I'll just give you a little bit more on this thing. And, oh, lights just came on, so maybe they did fix the fuse on that thing. All right, so I'm reading here by a little flashlight. And 2 children died Sunday while another leaped from the burning 4th floor of a Lakeshore Dunes apartment building in Gary. A 5-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl suffered smoke inhalation and minor burns. An 8-year-old boy jumped to a little basket. And neighbors rescued several people, and firefighters pulled the 2 kids from the burning 4th floor. And so, sad situation in Gary at the Lakeshore Apartments in Miller. What did you guys see a fuse? Some light went on while you guys were gone in there, so all the fuses are on, huh? Are you sure it's still plugged in somewhere? All right, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do right now. You're going to take this one here, and you're going to get an extension cord, and you're going to plug it in. I'll tell you what, guys, I'll be right back. AM 1230 WJOB in Hammond, Indiana, the voice and face of the region.
Laborers Local 41, together with Indiana Laborers Training Center and our signatory employers, provide state-of-the-art instruction in all areas of the construction industry, from hazardous material handling and environmental remediation to road construction and highway safety. Remember to slow down in construction zones and that the Local 41 members working there are mothers, fathers, coaches, and mentors. Laborers Local 41, we build Indiana in more ways than one.
All right, what's happening there? 608 in the Calumet region. 219-845-1100. You guys want to call? Hey, Christina, when Christina gets back on over there, we're doing it by candlelight right now. If you're watching on WJOB's Facebook or Twitter, all you got to do is go and look those up. Oh, we got a little bit of light. But I'm holding a light on me, and that's just how it is. You show up, and something's not working. You just kind of keep going. And so what are we going to talk about in terms of what happened on national television yesterday? Hold on one sec. Sorry, guys. All right.
For generations, you've trusted Edgewater Systems to provide compassionate, high-quality care. As the science of behavioral health has evolved, it's revealed the important connection between physical and behavioral health. With this in mind, we're pleased to introduce Edgewater Health, which includes primary care, in addition to our long-standing mental health and addiction services. Whichever combination of services you need, Edgewater Health is here for you for your whole life. Learn more at edgewaterhealth.org.
All right, sorry about this. Hey, you know what? You show up and things aren't working. That's just how it is. All right, so let's look at a little things that have happened over the weekend. How about sports? What happened? What exactly happened over the weekend? Ryan's going to talk with me in just a second. But Purdue lost. They lost on Friday night late, and we knew that was going to come. They lost to Texas Tech. Texas Tech ultimately went forward, and they lost to Villanova. Who did they lose to? They lost to Villanova. So in the Final Four, it's going to be Villanova, Kansas, and it's going to be Michigan. And believe it or not, the best story, and we need this story, is Loyola Chicago is going to the Final Four. Any Loyola grads out there, you want to give me a call, 219-845-1100. We'd love to hear from you. Also, in terms of the Purdue Northwest baseball team. They went 2-2 over the weekend as they were able to split with Grand Valley State. Many of you came out to the Buffalo Wild Wings in Hammond at Kennedy and the Borman as we were out there as a live broadcast. And a lot of you have watched that. I also interviewed Larry Chrysler. I interviewed John Corey. I think Kevin McCune, some of the baseball players on the softball team. I interviewed Nikki Stansel, the coach there, along with Holly Pagan and Sammy Miller. So it was a lot of fun. And those coaches shows that Purdue Northwest is now putting on, so it was pretty good time. You guys should have come out. If you decided that you weren't going to come out, well, that's you. All right, so Christina has something for us to play here. And if you guys were anywhere in America, you know what the March for Our Lives was. It actually had a local bent on it, as San Antonio Spurs coach Greg Popovich ripped President Trump on Sunday for his absence at the nationwide March for Our Lives demonstrations over the weekend. If you just sit for a moment and imagine those bullets going through those bodies and what those bodies might have looked like afterwards, how can the president of the country talk about all the things he's going to do and then go have lunch with the NRA and change it? It's just cowardice, says Pop, the pride of East Chicago, went to Maryville. He's been perhaps the best NBA coach ever. It's just cowardice, he says. A real leader would have been in Washington, D.C. this weekend, not at his penthouse at Mar-a-Lago. He would have had the decency to meet with the group to see what's going on and how important it is and how important our children should be to us. So for all those politicians involved, it's just a dereliction of duty, he continued. Thousands of people took to the streets across the U.S. on Saturday to protest gun violence and to call for more gun control, while the president spent time at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. The White House released a statement Saturday morning applauding the gun violence protesters for, quote, exercising their First Amendment rights. Washington, D.C. served as the epicenter of the demonstrations and saw numerous appearances from politicians, celebrities, and survivors of various mass shootings in the U.S. The protests were spurred by the shooting at, of course, in Parkland. Various Republican politicians, including Trump, have been faced intense scrutiny for their ties to the National Rifle Association. So there you go. Emma Gonzalez is the short-haired young woman who has been one of the leaders of this movement, and we're going to see her right now.
6 minutes and about 20 seconds. In a little over 6 minutes, 17 of our friends were taken from us, 15 were injured, and everyone, absolutely everyone, in the Douglas community was forever altered. Everyone who was there understands. Everyone who has been touched by the cold grip of gun violence understands. For us, long, tearful, chaotic hours in the scorching afternoon sun were spent not knowing. No one understood the extent of what had happened. No one could believe that there were bodies in that building waiting to be identified for over a day. No one knew that the people who were missing had stopped breathing long before any of us had even known that a code red had been called. No one could comprehend the devastating aftermath or how far this would reach or where this would go. For those who still can't comprehend because they refuse to, I'll tell you where it went. Right into the ground, 6 feet deep. 6 minutes and 20 seconds with an AR-15, and my friend Carmen would never complain to me about piano practice. Aaron Feist would never call Kira Miss Sunshine. Alex Schachter would never walk into school with his brother Ryan. Scott Beagle would never joke around with Cameron at camp. Helen Ramsey would never hang out after school with Max. Gina Montalto would never wave to her friend Liam at lunch. Joaquin Oliver would never play basketball with Sam or Dylan. Elena Petty would never. Kara Lugren would never. Chris Hickson would never. Luke Hoyer would never. Marquine Duque Aguiano would never. Peter Wang would never. Alyssa Al-Hadaf would never. Jamie Guttenberg would never. Meadow Pollock would never.
You just kind of soldier on. You know what I mean? I already shared with you guys how kind of pissed off and angry and sad I've been over the last couple days after going to a funeral of a senseless killing of a guy that I knew quite well. So I'm about ready at the tipping point. So, you know what? All we really need right now is for Jackie Sutton to show up. Then maybe that would just calm things up. 27 degrees right now here at the WJOB Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest. And it is 28 degrees in Maryville at Certified Electrician and the local electricians union. And that is 697. So it's chilly right now, but it's going to get up into about 50 degrees. A shower late this afternoon. And then tomorrow, high of 57. Cloudy, a little rain, breezy. And then by Wednesday, a high of 55, mainly cloudy. And then by Thursday, high of 51, times of clouds and sun. So there's a forecast going forward. Weather, of course, brought to you this morning by CertifiedElectrician.com. If you need electrical work done, have a union-based electrical contractor do it. Let's take a look at what's going on in traffic. It's really very light today. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway, Toro, Borman, I-65, US 30, and Klein Avenue are all moving along pretty doggone well. And that is brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. All right, and there you go. What do you guys want to talk about today, huh? 219-845-1100. The phone lines are open. I won't sell your data to Cambridge Analytica. I'm pretty sure that there are people that would do that. I don't know if you guys have been following this story. We're getting more and more about what Facebook actually did with the data. I guess, I read a pretty lengthy dissertation on this thing yesterday. And according to the New York Times, basically this professor at Cambridge kind of presented it to Facebook that he wanted to use all of this information for research purposes, which was true. He did. But also the news about 50 million Americans was also transferred to this Cambridge Analytica, and they had ways of manipulating that data to see who might vote for Donald Trump, or in that direction at least. And they were able to put it all together and perhaps affect the 2016 presidential election. It still boggles my mind that it gets that far along. But over the weekend, there was so much talk about what should happen to Facebook and should they be regulated? How do we keep this from happening? And if you guys were following, it's crazy how quickly many of the things that we've talked about for a long time here on the air I told you guys forever, I'm like, it just doesn't make any sense to me that radio and television would be so hyper regulated, yet you could do whatever you want on Facebook. You could yell fire. You could just make anything up and you're not held accountable. And I thought that would be dangerous over time. And it turns out that perhaps it was quite dangerous, so dangerous that it may have affected the future, our history here in America, and that many of your identities and your psychological tendencies were given up to a research firm, and that was used for political purposes. Wow. And it's happening fairly quick. You know what? What we need today is we need to hear from Charlie and see how he's doing. Charlie, how are you, man? What have you been doing?
How you doing? You used to be in church today. It's Sunday.
Yeah. I don't know.
How come you guys on the air today?
How come we're on the air today?
Yeah.
Well, every once in a while, what happens is every once in a while people get confused on what day it is. I mean, I've driven down here on Sundays.
You confused today?
Yeah, so today's actually Monday, Charlie.
Oh, I'm confused today.
Yeah, that's okay. You know what? That happens to everybody.
So what's new today?
Just a lot of bad news. How's that feel?
Yeah, bad news are no good. No good.
There really isn't a lot of good news going on right now. I don't know what to tell you. What do you want me to say? Hey, Loyola's going to the Final Four. How's that feel?
What's new?
What's with me?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you got?
How's the fireman doing in Arizona?
He's doing well.
When are you going to go to Arizona to visit him?
You know what? I just got back from vacation, so it's going to be a little while. You know
what? You're going to go back to visit Safety Steve?
Yeah, Safety Steve is who we're talking about. Yeah, remember how he would come on all the time and give us little safety tips?
Yeah. How's Dave the Baker doing?
Oh, he's doing well. Everybody's good. Hey, Charlie, how are you doing? That's what's most important.
Okay. I wish he could be baking donuts like he used to bake donuts. Remember his baker?
Yeah, he doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
All right, Charlie. Well, we got to go, buddy. I'll see you. I got to go. All right, there you go. He's a little confused. And you know what? That happens. It happens to everybody on a Monday. Hey, if you guys are watching on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and it looks a little different, yeah, they're having a little trouble. For some reason, all of the Lost Martial lights in here are not working, and we don't have time to kind of do some fixing because I'm sitting here talking and people are running around. So if it just looks a little different, we'll just wait for the sun to come up and then there'll be plenty of light in here. Hey, let's take a look at some of the stuff going on around the Calumet region. You guys have heard about this big development at the tree farm in Cherville, and it's quite the development. And it looks like it's on hold all of a sudden. Here, I'll tell you what the Times says. The development of Lure's Tree Farm, a hot topic among residents who live near it, is on hold until remaining pieces of the farm are annexed by the town. They have not even started on it yet, said Tom town manager Bob Volkman. They've petitioned for annexation, which is processing. Volkman said his understanding is that the work on the project will not commence until the annexation is complete. Thanks to an earlier annexation, 560 acres of the property already have been part of the town. Developer Drapac Capital Partners now is seeking to have the remaining 150 or so acres annexed. So that's about, what is that, 700 acres or so? Drapac eventually wants to put 750 home lots on the entire parcel, plus walking trails, athletic fields, and a community garden. And the home lots would range in size from 70 by 125 feet to 90 by 25 feet. So according to the information, home prices would be in the mid 300,000s and up. This is a huge development. So slowing it down, I think, is kind of affecting a number of people. This project is not the first to be considered for the tree farm. About a decade ago, a community proposed by Althoff Homes was approved by the town, but that plan, the preserve, fell victim to the Great Recession, and the tree farm continued to do business. The Althoff plan called for 2,300 homes on 500 acres, so the project drew ire from neighbors even as it moved forward. Now, also a Crown Point resident, Patty Byers, appeared before the council. She described as potential contaminants that date back to the 1980s. And so that is what the Lures Tree Farm. Anybody ever go out and cut down a tree? We did that for many years when the kids were younger. It would be, hey, we're going down to Lures. And then you heard about this huge Althoff development, and then you didn't hear much. And then now you've got these like bigger lots or bigger homes that are looking to go in there as part of Drapac Capital. And what else happened over the weekend? What about the marches across the country coming here to the Calumet region? According to the Times, several people went out to Valparaiso chanting "Enough is enough" and bearing signs that read, "Protect your kids, not your guns. Stop the NRA. Stop the NRA." I went to a party on Saturday night, sitting there with three of my buddies, and somehow the word gun came up, and we're over at the Elks Club in Highland, and we start talking about it, and at the exact same time, all three of my buddies showed me the guns that they were carrying, one around his ankle and two of them around their I guess kind of a holster. One had it on the back, and then one had it kind of tucked into the front part of the belt. And I'm like, man, I haven't seen you guys in a while. I didn't know you guys were all carrying. Well, I didn't used to carry. I carry now, though. In a world gone mad, I carry now, is what one of the guys said. Anybody have any comments on these protests over the weekend? I don't know what to make of it. What I get the feeling of, to be quite honest, is that there are a lot of people blowing off some steam, and there's students who are upset about recent mass shootings. But I really don't think that, that they just kind of happen and they go away. And I know that some folks are looking for some lasting change out of this. I don't see it. I don't know why. I just get kind of jaded. No one knows what it's like to be faded and hated. And just kind of, it was good for these young kids to kind of blow off some steam and move forward and kind of grieve for those that were killed. But is there any lasting threat to the NRA's ability to kind of control public opinion? I don't think so. Anyways, all right. What else is going on? Times is reporting that there was an OWI, and here's Alexis Karagias had bloodied, watery eyes and slurred speech when a Cherville officer pulled her over. Anyways, I'll get to that one in a second. I want to talk to you guys, man. What do you guys think is going to happen after the Parkland shooting and all the protests yesterday? Is anything going to happen? Should there happen? Should there be limits on how you can buy a gun? What about the gun show loopholes? What about semi-automatic weapons that are made for war, not for hunting? What is the ultimate reason that we have the right to bear arms? Where does it lead? I don't know. I have no idea. Let's see what Jim, can you make some sense out of the world for me today? Hello, Jim. How are you?
Oh, you know what? This is Ken.
Ken, how you doing, Ken?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm sorry for your loss, man. I know what it's like to lose a family member to a senseless murder, man. You know.
How do you know that, Ken?
Well, it's my nephew got murdered. 5-6 years ago now. You know who this is, don't you?
I know who this is, and I know the story, but I think the other people don't know the story. If you'd like to tell it, we'd love to hear it.
It's just just a senseless murder that a kid killed a kid, and it still hurts, our family, and it's just senseless, man, and then like I just heard about your, just the gang initiation, Jimmy, and it's just a shame. This weekend was just great with all the basketball and stuff. And then last night I taped all the games, so I just went through the games because I just couldn't handle all the commercials. And then I watched the old Stormy thing. And I know I'm all over the place, Jim, but I'm just sitting there going, man, dude, to the president, you got, when it's all said and done, you got to go see the maker up there, man. And, you may have all the money now and all the glory, but boy, oh boy, I believe in heaven and hell, and that's how I live my life. And I'll tell you what, man, I 99% sure I'm going to heaven. It's how I live my life, and I just don't understand how people could be so. I'm just at a loss for words too, Jim. Like you are, I could feel it in your heart. I just don't get it. I don't know.
What's what you said here, you go, I'm all over the place. And I think that, like Americans are all over the place right now. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on, but let's just talk about Stormy Daniels for a second, okay?
Oh, boy.
Why is this important? Because do you remember the first time that you and I ever had, this is Ken, by the way, out of Highland, that you and I...
You can tell my name because you know me, Jimmy. I say it like it is. Jimmy and Gotti, whatever.
And do you remember the first time that you and I had a lengthy conversation?
No, I don't remember. I can't remember which.
It was, I believe, at Rich Diambala's wake.
Okay.
In Munster. And I think it was his wake, but it was at a wake in Munster.
Mm-hmm.
And you started talking to me about, like, there was a story in the news about an extramarital affair, and you started talking about them, and you're like, oh my God, I wouldn't even know how to lie, and I mean, I just don't get it, and you went on and on about that, and you say, but you did give me one thing. You said, I'll never forget this. You said to me, you go, I'm not judging anybody. Guys have extramarital affairs. That's fine. And do whatever they want. But I just can't, once you get married, there's a sanctity there, and you got to honor it. And I've thought about that when I cover some of these extramarital affairs. How do people really look at what Donald Trump did with Stormy Daniels, or allegedly did, and do they really judge him for having an extramarital affair, or is it more judgment about what happened afterwards?
Oof. Yeah, that's a lot there, Jim.
How do you feel about him having an affair with Stormy Daniels?
Could you imagine? And you know what, Jim? I guess I'm going to announce it, but I'm going to be a grandpa. We just found out, a couple weeks ago.
Way to
I
go,
can't
dude.
imagine. Thank you. I can't imagine. When they, what he was. The wife was just pregnant or whatever, and with another new wife, third wife. That I can't imagine that either. But I mean, could you imagine doing that to somebody, man? I can't. I can't imagine hurting somebody like that. And it's going to come out. I'm Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? It's just, and you look at Melania and she's so beautiful and everything, but she just hurt inside, man. And what the heck is the kid thinking now? And it's gonna get bad. It's gonna get ugly. But hey, you know what, Jim? But my dad always says, man, you're 3 times 7. You make your bed, man, and you better be able to lie in it. My dad always said it's nothing like going to bed at night knowing ain't nobody watching you, ain't nobody looking for you, that's a good feeling. And I'll tell you what, bro, I sleep real good at night myself.
Kenny Angotti. Kenny, I'm with you. Thanks for your comments about my friend, and I'm going to have to tell people what we're talking about. Thanks a lot. Talk to you.
Okay, bro. Good night.
Saturday, I went to a funeral for my friend and Billy Baker's friend, too. Billy's going to be here in a little while. Terry Conley. And I haven't really talked about it, even though it's about 2.5 months old, because I don't know what to make of this. And I went to his funeral 2.5 months after he was killed driving by the train station in Gary. And as best I can tell, he was just driving along the street, not necessarily even parked, moving vehicle. And somebody came up alongside him and shot him in the head and killed him. And that was on January 4th. There's a $10,000 reward for the murder of Terry Conley. And we're going to have his sister on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday. And we're just going to talk about Terry and, what a kind of a reasonably simple and good guy he was. And I don't know what to tell you, man. I went to it, and I went and hung out with his sister and his mom, met his kids, and I'm just been kind of stupefied the rest of the weekend, as I didn't realize that it was that stark. The priest who gave the sermon, he said something. He said a couple things that I thought I'd never been to nativity. He's a pretty good priest, actually. I might go to mass there one of these times. Alexis and I used to rotate going to mass around the region, and for some reason we're just kind of stuck at St. Tom's. But the guy was saying that he was pointing to all of the saints over the many, millennia of, that they basically were just doing really simple things, and nobody even noticed. And then he brought up a few of the simple things that Terry was doing, and Terry was living in Miller. There's a lot of black people around there, and one of the little black girl had come up to the priest and said, the parents brought the little black girl up and said, she is not growing up with the normal fear of white people that you get in Gary from some kids, because Terry Conley was always around and always doing good stuff in the neighborhood. And then the priest brought up that there was a Vietnam vet who couldn't leave his house, and Terry would just go visit him and talk to him in Gary. So it was equally distressing to, know that Terry was driving his car to his house in Miller, which he loved living in Miller and Gary and loved hanging out in Gary. And believe me, if you're wondering if he was a white guy, he's about as white as they come. As a matter of fact, if he was standing in front of that wall over there right now, you wouldn't be able to see him except for his kind of reddish-brown hair. But anyways, so it was a harsh reality, and I wrote a poem. I'll read you the poem. What the heck? I think that will express anything better if you guys want. I write a blog, And I write a blog for a very specific reason, that I believe that radio is dying as we know it, and there aren't a lot of people left that do what I do, which is own a radio station, talk on it, live the life of local radio. I went to like 6 different things over the weekend because, I'm the radio guy. But here's the poem, and I'll just read it. I don't typically read it, but read poems and stuff. But here we go. The irony of the situation is not lost on me, nor on my friend Terry Conley. He was driving down the road in Gary looking for a gas station. He got shot in the head. His sister and cops think it was gang initiation. When I got home from the funeral, Emma Gonzalez led a gun control tribunal. She marched millions of kids against gun violence. It started with Parkland. It continued today with Emma's silence. She cried quiet to the camera for 6 minutes and 20 seconds. That's how long it took to kill 17, injure 15, and send the nation into a gun-controlled tailspin. Kids cried, held each other. Kelly, the sister, wept discreetly. So did her mother. They asked me to help, put out the reward. You're on the radio, for Christ's sake. That's got to be worth something. I don't know if it'll help or if Emma will stop crying. If I told you I just bought a gun, would I be lying? So there's the conundrum. You live in an era right now where you could have somebody sneak into a school right now with a semi-machine gun and just shoot up a bunch of kids. You have that. That's a possibility at any school and any kid driving to school right now, even though there's nothing I'm saying is that I had ever thought about. Okay? And then you have a whole groundswell of young people mostly that are questioning guns at all. You had huge protests. Now, quite frankly, you have a huge groundswell of young shooters that are getting guns and getting into guns, and there's almost like a huge marketing campaign to get more kids into guns. And it's working as there's more and more competitive shooting, more and more kids that know about guns and that are responsible about guns, but they're into the guns. So you've got competing movements there. But amidst all this, amidst the belief that there is danger in our schools, do you feel the need to want to get a gun if you don't have one? Now, I'm not going to answer if I've got a gun or if I recently bought a gun. I've shared with you guys that I know how to shoot a rifle fairly decently. Shot them a lot when I was younger. Shot recently. So I don't know if that's one of those situations. Literally, I'm like right on the precipice. I'm like, you know what? I just went to Terry Conley's funeral. Senseless gun violence in Gary, driving down the road. And I don't know why, but I have this overwhelming desire to want to buy a gun right now. Amidst the time when I walk into my house, right as Emma Gonzalez is getting ready to speak on Saturday. It's a surreal situation. I got to believe that a lot of people are just, I have no idea how I'm even supposed to feel about how we have guns in America. You know what I mean? I want to be safe. I want to keep my family safe. We live next to one of the one of the biggest, the murder capital of America. All of us do. Anybody listening is somewhat near Gary or south side of Chicago. I don't know what to tell you guys. Hey, I got Dan Cardin of the NWI Times. He's called in, and we're going to talk about a couple of things. I'll be right back with Dan on AM 1230 WJLB 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region.
Elmwood Casket Company in Hammond and Cherville offers over 100 American-made caskets, up to 60% less expensive than area funeral homes, along with a wide selection of burial vaults and cremation urns. Our company is licensed by the state of Indiana and offers interest-free pre-arrangement plans. Call Mike at 219-844-7009 or visit elmwoodcaskets.com for pricing. Remember, you do have options to prevent overpaying at the funeral home. Elmwood Casket Company.
At Corellis Roofing, our motto is, above all, a good roof. The workers here at Corellis Roofing are some of the highest trained and qualified roofing mechanics that our industry has to offer. And I'm glad that they've chosen Corellis Roofing for their careers. I would like Corellis Roofing to be thought of in the community as the roofing contractor of choice for our customers. Corellis Roofing is a proud member of the Northwest Indiana community.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Taking a quick look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Tell you what, I don't have any traffic right now. It's Monday Morning Light. It's brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. Taking a look at what is weather. Hey, you know what? It's cold right now. It's 26 degrees here at the WJOB Strack and Van Til Studios, but it's going to go up to 50, a shower late this afternoon. Cloudy, a little rain and breezy tomorrow. And then Wednesday, a high of 55 and mainly cloudy. And you know what? I want to hear this. I want to see how Dan's doing today. Dan, how are you, man? What's going on?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. You know, plodding along. How's that sound?
Well, you guys missed the big snowstorm. Indianapolis got 10 inches of snow on Saturday.
What?
Yeah.
You're making Wait, Dan Carton, you've got pretty good credibility up here in the region. You just lost it.
It's true. It's true. There was a line of snow from like Wisconsin through central Illinois into central Indiana. Indianapolis got nailed on Saturday with like 10 inches of snow. It's almost all gone now because it was 50 degrees yesterday, and it's going to be 50 degrees today. But there was just this. I mean, it was more snow than we've gotten all winter. We got it yesterday or Saturday.
How'd you like it?
Oh, it was great. You know.
No, I mean, what'd you do? Did you do anything special? Did you go for a walk in the winter wonderland, or did you just like put a coat on and say, "I hate this stuff"?
I didn't even do that. I just looked out the window and watched it come down.
What'd you watch? So you watched TV all weekend?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So would you watch the basketball games, or did you watch the gun protests, or what? I'm just curious.
I did watch the basketball. I don't really watch college basketball that closely, but I'll watch during the tournament. And somehow I managed to get 3 out of the 4 teams in my Final Four bracket. So.
You didn't
pick Loyola. I did. I did not.
So you have Michigan, Villanova, and Kansas. Man, you may be the only person in Indiana with 3 people in the final bracket. I mean, that was not an easy pick. Wow, that's pretty good.
I spent 4 minutes on it the day before the thing started, and it just started clicking things. So
you know, I'm just curious since we're just here now. Did you watch the gun protests?
I did.
What'd you think, man?
Yeah, I heard you talking about that a little while earlier. You know, it's important to remember, too, that Indianapolis has an extremely high murder rate. For the last 3 years, it's set a new record every year with murders in Indianapolis. It doesn't get as much attention as Chicago, but it's, you know, it's equally dangerous down here, too. I mean, it's great to see people out and protesting for something they believe in or rallying for something they believe in.
Did Indy have one?
Yeah, there was a huge one at the State House. It was supposed to be outside, and then they moved it inside because of the snow. And I think the state government, the state police wasn't really prepared for that. They had like one door open, and they were still making everybody go through security, even though nobody was in the building. So there was this line like wrapped around the State House for, you know, blocks of people to get into this thing, and they filled up that whole second floor area. If you've been in the State House, that open atrium area, so it was well attended.
Yeah, it's a big area. It's a beautiful building, man. If you got to look at like in the top 5 beautiful buildings in Indiana, is at State House. If you guys have never been there and you're down in Indy, especially while the session's going on, it's actually pretty cool place. It's old, but hey, it's nice.
Yeah.
Hey,
well, and I was going to say they'll have another chance to see the session going on. So
yeah,
the session ended. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's the question du jour. You and I sat here for a couple months trying to make something up that was interesting down there. And then all of a sudden we get to the end and they've got to extend the know-nothing session. I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you.
It was just one of those things where me and a few other reporters were talking about it on that Wednesday. It's like they're just going too slow. They're just going too slow. And it turns out they were going too slow. So they hit midnight and there were a bunch of bills that they still hadn't voted on yet in the House. And they're not allowed under state law to do anything after midnight on the 14th. So Governor Holcomb has decided to call them back for a special session in May, presumably after the primary election, to finish a few things up that were awaiting action when the clock struck 12.
You know what? I saw one of your articles that had a general estimate of what this is going to cost the state of Indiana. I mean, it's not huge, but it also has a productivity because all these people got to come down to the State House also, right?
Yeah, theoretically. I mean, a lot of them are sort of run their own business or are involved in that. It's the estimate is between $15,000 and $30,000 for each day of the session, and that's not extra pay. It's not like how Congress gets paid, even though the federal government is shut down. Legislators get what's called a per diem to pay for their hotel room and food and their mileage when they're in session. So on a session day, they get $173. And when you multiply that by 150 people, it ends up being, between 15 and 30,000 when you throw in the mileage too. So that's what they're going to get. They're not getting extra pay. They're just getting sort of their normal rate for when they're at the State House. But that said, some of them are still planning to donate it to charity or give it back to the state or who knows what.
So as far as I understand it, Dan, one of the main things that did not get through was perhaps some extra money for securing school buildings. Is that right?
It is, yeah. There was a legislation to approve $5 million extra for school safety. The state, for the last few years, has made matching grants of $9 million or $10 million, depending on the year, available to schools for school safety improvements. There were some schools that didn't get the money this year. The demand was higher than the appropriation. So this extra $5 million would cover those requests, plus have about $2 million more left over. So that's part of it. The thing that the governor is talking about, and a lot of the legislators, is every year the state updates its tax code to conform with federal changes. And this year there were a lot of changes in the federal tax code. The big Republican tax legislation that went through Congress. So the state needs to change sort of its tax rules so people don't have to keep two separate sets of books, especially business owners, because the state taxes are they start with a federal number. So I believe your federal adjusted gross income is where you start with your state taxes. But right now, the things that go into calculating your federal adjusted gross income aren't reflected in the state law. So you would have to calculate your income one way for the federal government and then calculate your income another way for the state government if they don't go back and make these changes.
Talking to Dan Carden. Dan, that's all fine and dandy, but really what is close to my own personal heart is the talk of CBD oil.
Yeah.
Anything there?
It's a done deal.
It is.
Signed it. Yeah, go out. You can go out right now and buy some CBD oil if you want.
Tell people what that is.
Yeah, so it's a product that's derived from the same plant that's marijuana, the cannabis plant, In Indiana, the CBD oil is going to be derived from what's known as industrial hemp, which lacks the ingredient that produces a high in marijuana. But a lot of people believe that the plant or the oil from the plant has health benefits as well. Mayor McDermott has talked about this a lot for humans and animals. So there was some controversy in November when the Attorney General, Curtis Hill, said CBD oil was illegal in Indiana under any circumstances, even though the General Assembly last year authorized people with treatment-resistant epilepsy to use it. That made a lot of legislators and the governor not happy. They didn't agree with his interpretation of the law, so they effectively overrode him and passed a law saying CBD oil is legal for everybody in Indiana. Governor Holcomb signed that on Wednesday. It took effect immediately. So if you want to go buy some CBD oil and use it, you're free to do so. Now, after July 1st, there's going to be some new labeling and packaging requirements, but that's going to be more on the retailer side of it. But, yeah, so CBD oil is legal in Indiana. Curtis Hill isn't commenting. They referred me, when I asked his office about it, they referred me to his past statement where he said it was still illegal. So at some point there may be a court case about this, but for right now, you're welcome to go buy CBD oil if you think it'll help you in some way.
All right, so is it available now?
Oh, yeah. And it always has been. Curtis Hill put out his announcement, and the state police had been doing some enforcement action on the basis of that. Governor Holcomb put out an executive order saying, let's see what the General Assembly does before we start enforcing this. And so retailers have been stocking CBD oil, or you could buy it online. And now the General Assembly has said, we believe it should be legal, and the governor agrees. So it's now officially legal.
Does it make you high?
It does not. That's one of the points of one of the contentions of the legislation. So it's from the same plant as marijuana, but it's not marijuana. And in fact, the law requires that it have less than 0.3% of THC, which is the compound in marijuana that produces a high. So it's not going to get you high. And a lot of legislators pointed out, or Mayor McDermott pointed out in one of my stories, that you could drink a gallon of this stuff and you're still not going to get high. So some people believe that it can treat a variety of ailments. Other people disagree. But basically the state is saying if you want to use this natural remedy, you're free to do so.
All right, so technically, if I wanted to come in here one morning and say, all right, guys, I'm going to take some CBD oil at 6 o'clock and see how it affects me the rest of the show, I'd be okay to do that now?
Yeah. Under this law that was just enacted, you're
What
free
the heck?
to buy it, free to use it, free to sell it.
But so I don't want to talk anymore about it. I've got so many questions about it. But really, I want to hit one of the biggest, most important things of the state session, and that is that we have a state insect now.
We do. Yeah, the Say's firefly. It's named for a guy named Thomas Say, who was a 19th century naturalist in southern Indiana. Helped discover the firefly. And Governor Holcomb on Friday signed into law a measure making that the state insect. So we were one of 3 or 4 states that didn't have a state insect. And these school kids in Lafayette heard about that and decided to campaign for the firefly. They actually spent 3 or 4 years pushing for it. It ended up getting killed a few times because legislators didn't really take them seriously. This year, the governor got behind the campaign, and now we have a state firefly.
I'm glad to hear that because you gotta cover all the bases, and you also have to cover all the bases when you're dealing with massage therapists also. So can you address that one also?
Sure. Just going down the list. Yeah, you remember there was an issue, I don't remember where it was, but there was an issue where some massage therapists were taking advantage of their clients in a sexual way. So the state has upped its massage therapy training and licensing requirements. to make sure that massage therapists are better trained and more aware of everything that's required of them and the things that they shouldn't do. It's interesting because this General Assembly tends to oppose occupational licensing, and this legislation passed overwhelmingly to require massage therapists have more training, undergo a national criminal history check, and carry professional liability insurance. So it's they hate interfering in the free market, except when they love to interfere in the free market.
He's Dan Carden. It's top of the hour, 7 o'clock. Dan, thanks for calling in today, and you can read them on the front page still. I mean, we're going to have another session. What's the dates on the
They haven't said it yet. Sorry.
They haven't said it. Ryan also wants me to ask anything about the South Shore during the session.
Yeah, I mean, nothing like last session where they approved the funding. What they did this year was they approved the process for financing it. So the locals have committed their money to it. The state last year committed its money to it. The South Shore proponents are trying to get the federal money for it. And what the General Assembly did this year was put in the process for financing the South Shore, assuming once the federal money comes in, because you're not going to have all the money at once. It's the locals are paying part of their income tax, every revenue. The state's kicking in $6 million for double tracking and $6 million for Westlake every year. So you borrow the money up front to build the project, and then you pay it back over time. The General Assembly this year and Governor Holcomb signed this measure that creates the process for financing those improvements, assuming the federal money comes in.
He's Dan Carden. Dan, thanks so much. You've been doing this for a while, so in the spirit of the General Assembly, I say, hey, we love you long time. See ya. Thanks.
Hey, let me tell you one more thing.
Sure.
Besides the front page of the Times, next Monday, you will also be able to see me as a contestant on Jeopardy.
I didn't know if I could mention that or not. And we're sitting there. And so Dan Carden, if you don't know what he looks like, you'll be able to see him on Jeopardy for that.
There you go.
But you can't say how you did, right?
I cannot say how I did. I can call in next Monday and tease you with how I did, but I can't say it until it airs.
So hold on a second. What day will it actually be on television?
Monday, April 2nd, a week from today, day after Easter.
All right, hold on a second. Monday, April 2nd. And what time does that, is that 3:30? 3:30 here.
3:30 on Channel 7.
Yeah, what time does it air down there? 4:30?
Here it's at 7:30, actually.
Okay, so it's 3:30 p.m. here in Chicago, this thing goes. And Dan Carden on Jeopardy. You can't say how you did. How was the experience?
It was great. It was a lot of fun. Everybody there was extremely nice, and I got to spend a week in Los Angeles in the middle of January where it was 80 degrees and sunny the whole time, so couldn't ask for anything better than that.
All right, we'll tease a little bit more next Monday. Dan, congratulations on that, and as always, really, thank you so much for talking to us.
You got it.
Talk to you. There it is, Dan Carden on Jeopardy. Woohoo! Hey, I'll be right back. Face of the region.
Ironworkers Local 395, through their contractor employers, the Northwest Indiana Contractors Association, are the workers you see building Northwest Indiana. They are the craftsmen building your schools, hospitals, malls, steel mills, and manufacturing plants. They support local charities, including Tradewinds and Chasing Dreams, and they coach your kids after work and on the weekend. They live, work, and contribute to all of our local communities' economic growth. To find out more about these organizations, visit ironworkers395.com or nwicontractors.org.
From the Strachan Van Til Studios, your local Strachan Van Til has some great products on sale this week. Here's a few items you might want to add to your shopping list. California Cuties, 5-pound box, $4.99 each. Purdue split chicken breasts or thighs, 88 cents a pound. 12-ounce 12-pack Coca-Cola, Sprite, Mountain Dew, Lipton Brisk, 7-Up, RC Cola, and Canada Dry, $2.99 each when you buy 3, limit 2 offers. Strachan Van Til, proud to be Indiana-made and dedicated to being Indiana's grocery store.
I'm
Barbara Gadarian Muckle, Executive Director of Excel to Fitness, Northwest Indiana. Excel to Fitness is a 6-week program serving boys 3rd through 6th grade. This program is for every boy. The 12-session curriculum creates an interactive experience using speed, strength, agility, balance, and cardio while embedding character through teamwork, leadership, and goal setting. Join Excel to Fitness this season at your school, church, or recreational center. Registration begins March 12th. Contact me at 219-595-XCEL or exceltofitness.com/Northwest Indiana.
JED's Garden Family Restaurant, located at the corner of Klein and Ridge, is Griffith's locally owned family restaurant with a down-home feel and made-from-scratch favorites you will love. Open daily from 5 a.m. to midnight, JED's has you covered with breakfast omelets, salads, stir-fry, seafood, and steak sandwiches. In addition to our award-winning lemon rice soup, 4 additional soups are served daily. Along with our recently expanded spirits menu, Mondays are half-price margaritas and Wednesdays are $1 off domestics. Mention WJOB for 20% off your order. We'll see you at JED's at the corner of Klein and Ridge.
Join Harvest Ridge Church in St. John on Good Friday, March 30th at 7 p.m. for a Tenebrae service. Tenebrae, which means darkness or shadow, is an ancient tradition in which Christians gather to recall the hours of darkness that occurred at the crucifixion of Jesus. Set in candlelight, the candles are gradually extinguished as the biblical story of the cross is retold through scripture and music. Join us at Harvest Ridge Church at 9495 Kyleman Street in St. John for this Good Friday Tenebrae service. Visit harvestridgechurch.com for more information.
Theo Steak and Seafood sets the standard of fine dining excellence. Delicious USDA prime meats and steaks, along with the freshest seafood in the area. Celebrate your special event with friends, family, and associates in our private dining room that can seat up to 125 people. For information, call 838-8000 or theoshighland.com. Also visit our other restaurants, Prime Steakhouse, Umi Sushi and Lounge in Crown Point, and Ted's Family Restaurant in Calumet City.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? AM 1230, WJOB in Hammond, Indiana. My name's Jim Dietlow, host of JED in the region. We're on AM radio, 1230, FM 1047. We're streaming live on the TuneIn app on the radio side. And then on the video side, we're live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And you can catch us on all of those right now. What do we have in terms of the traffic? Eastbound accident right now. It just came in, and that is on the Borman, according to Ryan here. I didn't get a chance. It just came in. So eastbound on the Borman. It's not showing up on any of the grids. It's between Kennedy and the Borman. So that's toward Porter County. Yep, just showed up. Sorry. And there it is. It's starting to back things up for a good quarter mile. So if you're getting on a Calumet and you're thinking you're going to go straight down to I-65 right now, you got a little bit of a delay coming your way. And 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65 are all moving along pretty well. And traffic brought to you by Napleton, River Oaks Honda. What do you have in terms of the weather? It's cold, man. 26 degrees right now here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest. Going up to a high of 50, though. And then tomorrow, a high of 57, and Wednesday, a high of 55. And but you get some rain later today. Beautiful sunrise right now, man. Driving into the east, though, has to be a problem. And maybe that had something to do with the person getting in an accident there between Indianapolis and Kennedy, because we can't get the Lost Marsh lighting system today to work. So we've been waiting for the sun to come up so that you can see me a little bit better on the cameras and see Billy Baker here on the cameras better. But it has just come out in just huge, bright sun. It's just a beautiful sunrise. What do you have on the sponsorship there? Is brought to you by Laborers Local 41. I do want to tell you another one that if you are thinking of going to school online, think about Aurora University. Choose fully online programs in business, computer science, and more. To learn more, visit online.aurora.edu. Billy, how you doing, man?
Jimmy, nice to see you. Happy spring.
Happy spring is right.
Think it's ever going to actually kick in?
I know. It's just been so cold for so long, man. Alexis and I were talking about it. We're going to bed last night, and she goes, "Oh my God, there's this like chill coming through the window over here." I'm like, "Isn't it ever warm enough?" I go, "Honey, it's 29 degrees right now. I don't know what to tell you."
And we've been laughing. Remember how it's been? It's like it doesn't get warm until the 4th of July anymore.
Jeez. Last year, remember, it was like June 5th, and it was like 30 degrees. Like, really? You got frost in June? You can't play golf until 9:30 because there's frost out there?
How's that golf game?
You know what? I didn't play this winter. You know, I think what it is...
You didn't ride your bike? You didn't play your JED running golf? I mean, you know, you're getting old, man.
You know what? I don't mind doing it on the weekend. Like, I'll go ride my bike on the weekend, and I'll go play some JED golf on the weekend. But it takes so long to get dressed and bundled to drive over here in the morning. I mean, it's an extra...
I can't find my gotchis.
No, I got to put...
issues, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's 25 degrees out, so all right, I got to put a little extra on. I got to wear my boots. I got to find this, you know, I got to find my right coat to have and scarf and all that. And I'm like, and by the time, where's my helmet?
I know. Well, you're really good at putting things in the right place all the time.
I just said, forget. One day I was looking for everything, and I'm trying to ride my bike over. And I go, I'm not riding my bike till it gets warm. I get on my bike. I have a sweater or a sweatshirt on, and you ride right over here, and you drive right in and start talking. That's quality of life. Trying to find all this crap is no fun. And plus, it's cold.
So all those years I had to listen to you on the radio talk about how great it is to ride your bike when it's 27 below zero.
I remember that one time I rode my bike and it was 17 degrees below zero. And literally cops were coming up next to me like, dude, is there a problem here? Right down the boulevard here. The guy's like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Don't you listen to my show? Yeah. Don't you know who I am?
Yeah, I'm the radio guy. The OWI bike ride.
I went to the Elks Club for a party on Saturday night, and they got a little bar in there.
To the Elks Club?
In Highland. You'd love it. I think Mad Matt goes there. And they've got an area where they rent it out to people, and I went to the party there. And then they got this cool little bar in the back where they're watching the game, right? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm gonna go in there. And I'm starting to walk in there like, no, sir, members only.
Are you kidding?
I'm like, what? This is like the Water Buffalo Lodge or what? Is Barney and Fred in there? I'm like, what's going on? No, you can't go in that area. So they had a little open area where you could see into it, where you get your drink. And I came over to that, and I'm like, don't you know who I am?
I was wondering if you play that card. Usually you just yell it out the window when we're driving.
Hey, don't you know who I am? That's a famous line from Roxanne Paulson, by the way. I won't go into the details behind that, but it's so I was using that, and
so did they let you in?
Oh yeah, 2 or 3 guys come over and say, hey, you know, oh, that's Chet over there. Hey, you want to come in? I had to get signed in, so I got signed into the Elks bar, and I only went in for like 5 minutes. I was arguing with the lady. She's like, no, you can't come in. I go, don't you know who I am? Don't you listen to the radio? Yeah, I do. Well, I listen to WJOB sometimes. Don't you know who I am?
Wow.
So anyways,
I use that chip to get into the back bar at the Elks.
I'm like, I told her I can go anywhere in the region I want. And anyways, they do a great party out there. And one of the guys there was a guy who plays basketball with my dad and with this guy on line 1, Mad Mac. How are you, Mad Mac? What's going on?
Good. How you doing, Jimmy?
You know what? Billy and I got a sad story that we got to talk about here in a minute. So for the moment, we're doing fine.
I'm not sure Billy's got a sad one. I know you got a sad one, but I got a sad one 2 days after. But with our little Purdue TT thing.
Yeah, I mean, wiped. You know what? You were right. You know, Mad Mac's daughter working for Texas Tech, and he had his Texas Tech stuff on Friday night at the Purdue Northwest Coaches Show. We didn't talk much, believe me. Get away from me with that shirt on. But Texas Tech really put the Boilers away. There was really not a lot of doubt on that one.
Your boys didn't step up. I thought, who did they play in the game prior to that?
Who did Purdue beat on Thursday? I can't remember, man. There's so much stuff going on in the world.
Well, I mean, I thought the first half of that game on Thursday, They looked terrible, but boy, they got it together for the second half, and I thought, boy, they were really good. I thought they'd do well, but even TT didn't look that good. I got to tell you, man, this whole tournament, there's some great games, but there are some really, really not good-looking games. Michigan and Florida State. Jeez, that looked like Tuesday night with me and your dad. That was
You know what?
debacle.
They went. I sat down for that game. I want to say it was 28-27. And 6 minutes later in that game, it was still 28-27. Now, that's either amazing defense or just inept offense. And it was a little bit of combination of both.
It was inept everything. Hey, let me ask you two guys this, though. I mean, you guys both watch a lot of NCAA ball, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Do you think Kenny Smith on the CBS show, on their halftime shows, do you think Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley want to strangle Clark Kellogg? Because that whole thing is a disaster. I think they'd step over Clark Kellogg if they found him laying on the ground outside the studio.
Really?
They just don't have that same chemistry when they got Ernie and Shaq in there, you know? The whole thing is terrible. There's no chemistry at all.
I disagree with one of the parts. I think Gumbel and Barkley, what's his name?
Kenny Smith.
Gumbel, Barkley, Kenny Smith. Yeah, Clark Kellogg is a little bit. I agree with that part of it, but I'll tell you what, Barkley still has it. I mean, it's easy. It's easy to watch him. He has great observations and he carries it well.
Yeah, when he can get the thoughts out of his head. I mean, sometimes you gotta slap him in the back or turn
He's
that
comic
dial in the
relief.
back of him to get him going.
Yeah.
And his commercials on Capital One.
Oh, those are getting
absolute worst.
They're
Hey,
just.
so listen, Jimmy, about your boy, when you have Vladimir Card in there, part of that law, you know, with the massage stuff, is that, what are you laughing at, Billy?
He just knows your history with massage parlors. That's all.
Well, here's the thing with the massage law. What they actually put in, and I know Dan, you know, being a socialist, didn't want to mention it, but they're saying, look, if you promise a happy ending, you got to deliver a happy ending. Okay, that was part of it. The CBD oil, Jimmy, when we doing that? Next Monday?
Hey,
have a big CBD cornflake party?
Love you
Put a
too.
little on the muffin?
Love
Let's
you
see
2
what
times.
happens to Jimmy.
Love you 2 times, Mad Mac.
I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking
I want to
about.
get the. Hey, listen, I want all cameras rolling the day that oil comes into the studio, right? Because when you pull a Higgs and your eyes almost fly out of your head and you hit the floor, we want to make sure we got it on tape. All right.
You know, what's up with this? You know, I don't understand this about now the Jackie Sutton thing and all of this investigation. You know what I don't understand about this is like the Democrats they're like fighting with each other, and this Democrat might be Jackie Sutton, this Democrat wants to go after him, and don't they realize that the more they bring investigations in to Lake County, the more stuff that can get uncovered?
Jimmy, you're not talking about guys who are above board dealers here, brother.
No, I think. Well, I don't want to talk about that part. I want to talk about this Jackie Sutton Indiana State Police investigation. I was thinking about it a long time. I'm like, all right, well, you know, there's a violation of a state law, but then I'm thinking of it from a political thing. The Republicans have to be laughing their asses off that Democrats would start fighting so much amongst each other that they would bring a Indiana State Police investigation on themselves and ask for it.
Wait till they find out, if they actually get a couple investigators in there and they find out who illegally obtained IP addresses, which they did totally illegally. Then they're going to find out who authorized it. Then they're going to find out who leaked it. And I think the guy, that magic guy with the $100 bill problem running for sheriff, who I think is kind of running the show down there right now, at least that's the last thing they told me, Mr. Pass the Fake Hundos around the region, when they find out how many fingers he's got in that pie, he's going to be in more trouble.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily Well, thanks for your comments. I don't know if that's necessarily the issue. The issue is that you have this Jackie Sutton. Man, is she hot, by the way. I saw her the other day. And she's saying all this stuff on Facebook. And then now you've got a state police investigation on this. Don't they have to investigate whether it's true or not? I mean, literally, I think there's this, of all the stories that have started out this year, that's the biggest one around here locally. Anyways, let's take one more phone call. MX, how are you?
Pretty good. How about you, Jed? What do you want to talk about?
Nothing. What do you got on your mind?
First of all, the Mimi was made. Dave Dennison met Jackie Sutton.
Did she really?
Yeah, you can see it on MX Cartoons. See, every time Trump does something wrong, I'm going to tell you that's Dave Dennison. So what happens is there's two Mimis made. Dave Dennison, which is President Dennison now, is shaking a ghost hand. And the other one is something about a cat. You know what I'm talking about? But the one I wanted to get into was the gun thing, Chet, and what you said about owning a gun. I had a gun pulled on me twice in Hammond. There's not going to be a third time, so I went out and bought a gun. I've always hunted my whole life, so I know how to handle a gun.
Just what I'm thinking about. I want MX walking around with a gun.
Hey, at least he knows how to use it.
I don't leave home without it. The first time we had a gun pulled on us, we took the guy's gun and beat the crap out of him. The second time I had a gun pulled on me by myself, it's not a really good thing. So I figured I don't want it to be a third time.
How do you get a gun pulled on by yourself? Oh, so
No,
you were
you
alone.
would.
Okay. I thought you meant you
No.
pulled a gun on yourself.
The
So
time that we did get a gun pulled on us, there was like 4 of us, and I couldn't believe, and I can have these guys come in, that my friend grabbed that gun, and my other friend punched him almost into submission, and the rest of us jumped on top of him. So, you know what? But I'm not that fast and agile anymore, and I couldn't believe my buddy grabbed that gun.
all right. Yeah, I don't want to hear any more about that. I just want to tell you I ran into Peteyville yesterday, and he said hi. All right, I got to go. All right, Billy Baker.
Jimmy, you're so funny. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Let's talk about stuff I want to talk about.
Well, no, let's talk about stuff I don't want to talk about. Okay?
All right.
And you know what?
Heavy lifting?
I got to do a little bit of heavy lifting right now, Billy Baker.
You do that to me every Monday morning. Have you noticed that?
The world's heavy, man.
And that's our burden?
Well, there's a burden here you and I got to talk about.
All right.
Let's go back to Little League, 1972. 4. Billy plays for the Orioles. I play for the Yankees. And Terry Conley plays for the
White
Sox. Very good baseball player. His dad was a
lefty.
I think he batted lefty through right. Yes, batted lefty through right. Very good baseball player. And his dad also, I think, threw left-handed. And he was a Hammond Tech graduate where he was a very good baseball player. And he was our coach on one of the All-Star games. I can't remember which one it was. Actually, very good sport would be to watch Pat Conley of Hammond Tech and Terry Conley of Munster Little League argue together because it was kind of funny. Baker argued with his dad a lot. I would argue with my dad, but nothing to the level of Mr. Conley.
Yeah,
and
very
Terry
respectful,
Conley.
though.
Very, yes, exactly. So fast forward, I don't know, 40 years or so. Saturday, I went to the funeral mass for Terry Conley. And it was quite distressing in that Terry was kind of had simple needs and simple, he was just like this big-hearted guy. And the priest tells all these stories of all these people around Miller who will miss him. Little little black girl saying that she didn't have the normal fear of white people because Terry was always around and was such a nice kid, such a nice man. Another veteran couldn't leave his house, telling about how no one would come see him, but Terry would come and visit to him and talk to him and just doing little things in the neighborhood. And you could see Conley doing that. You know what I mean?
Well, isn't it sometimes just the little things that make up all the real big anyway? I mean, we could only do what we do. And, my understanding of, part of the eulogy was, just trying to make it a better place to live by just doing the small things, by helping out around the neighborhood, by opening the door, by just, saying hello to strangers. I mean, that's, I don't know, lost art maybe. But I was gone for a long time, Jimmy. You were around. Did you stay in contact with him?
I'd see him once in a while.
Yeah. I hadn't probably seen him since we graduated.
No, I saw him around once in a while. And so I go to the funeral. Yes, it's 2.5 months after he dies. And part of the reason is that he just died in such a horrific manner.
Violent.
He's driving along the road, as far as I can tell. He's driving along the road in front of the Route 12 or near Route 12 over there by the Gary train station. And as far as people can tell, so he's driving. As he's driving, he's not parked or anything. Somebody just drives by and shoots him in the head. And he dies immediately, they said. He died immediately. And I guess the car veers off and that's it. And no one really knows what happened. There's speculation that perhaps it was a gang initiation, that you got to someone to get into the gang. And with that being said, they just killed him and that was it. And somebody now is in the gang. So I can tell you that, I don't know what I can tell you other than the fact it's been just kind of harrowing experience for the Conley family. It's good Hammond people, good Munster people. Like I said, I think Dana went to Bishop Knoll back in the day, and Mr. Conley, Pat Conley, Hammond Tech, brought their kids up in Munster. And then one day they just wanted to move out to the beach, so they moved out to Miller and have been part of that community for a long time. And I don't know what to say to this other than right now to tell you that there's a $10,000 reward for information into the murder of Terry Conley. And that I'll have his sister on a little bit later this week to talk a little bit about Terry and kind of promote the reward, because you never know who needs 10 grand and who knows who killed Terry Conley.
And God rest his soul.
No kidding. I got to tell you, Billy, that was a tough one, man. Seeing Kelly, and he's got two sons that I had not met. And I was talking with one of them, and I'm like, hey, dude, I got to just tell you right now, this is freaking me out. He goes, yeah, I got my dad's mannerisms, don't I? And I'm like, you look like him at 21 years old. And you even sound like him. I go, wow, this is really crazy. But I know a family that's hurting because of a senseless violence along Route 12 in Gary on January 4th. So all I can ask is that if anybody has any possible understanding of what might have happened on January 4th by the Miller train station, let the police know. And you know what? You'll rightfully get 10 grand out of this thing.
Call Jimmy.
Yeah, call me.
Some people don't like to call the police, you know that.
Yeah, call me. I'll forward it on, but that's secondhand news by that time. Anyways, Baker, that was it, man. How's that for heavy lifting?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no kidding. There it is.
It's sad, and you can't say anything to make it right or justify it or put any logic to it. So life has a lot of different turns and challenges, and everybody's just got to use what they think is best for themselves and kind of move forward and, keep people like that, not just Terry, but, other people. I mean, everybody out there, I'm sure, has some connection to some kind of an issue like this. And, it's good every once in a while just to stop and remember.
All right, he's Billy Baker. We're going to move on. That was something we, that had to be discussed. I'm still a little bit bewildered that this whole thing happened. I mean, I can't imagine just driving down the street in Gary and somebody just shooting you. I mean, I don't understand how life comes to that point where somebody does that to someone, and there's no leads, there's no linking. Like it, may have been as far as I understand, a revenge killing or anything. It was just kind of, I mean, the priest called it a stray bullet, but I think they're thinking that it was a little more directed to kill him, and they did it. And just to think. I mean, if we get off of that Terry Conley thing, I mean, is that a real thing? Do gang members have to kill someone to get into the gang? I mean, you got to go out and kill someone. Well, here's one right now. Kill him and you're in the gang. And, all right, so let's pull up next to him and shoot him in the head. And then there it is. All right, well, way to go. You're in the gang. You guys hungry? You know what I mean? What do you do with that,
I mean, look at me. I sure as heck don't know how that all works out. But, I mean, there's different lifestyles all over the place. Some of them you and I don't even have any clue about.
All right, let me move back. Let me play a spot and see if we can't clean our palates on this. We'll be right back. Hey, speaking of clean, you need to get your car washed?
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Easy Clean is happy to announce their new location's grand opening at 1637 45th Street in Griffith. Open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Or stop by one of our 3 other locations in Highland, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, carpet shampooer, air freshener, and towel with every wash. And it's fast, easy, convenient, safe, and gentle. Go to myeasyclean.com for more information. Do you have a family history of heart disease or diabetes? St. Catherine Hospital Cardiovascular Prevention Center providers are offering free assessments to help determine your risk for heart disease and other related medical conditions. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 to 11:30 a.m., you can stop by the center at 7217 Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond for assessments like an ABI leg circulation test, blood pressure, body mass index, random glucose assessment, and more. You must be 18 or older, and walk-ins are welcome. You have only one body. Let St. Catherine Hospital of Community Healthcare System help you take care of it. You can also call 219-392-7CVP to book an appointment today.
Fill your garage with your dream car during the Honda Dream Garage Spring event going on now at Napleton's River Oaks Honda. They're Northwest Indiana's destination for new and certified pre-owned Hondas. Napleton's River Oaks Honda has a huge selection of brand new and certified pre-owned Civics, Accords, CRVs, and Pilots. Come find out why you always get our best deal at River Oaks Honda. As always, Indiana residents pay Indiana sales tax right off 8094 on Torrance Avenue or online at riveroakshonda.com.
Napleton, second to none since 1931.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? 732 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Deedlow. He's Bill Baker. And you're a region rat, hanging out with us, and I very much appreciate that. If you're watching on Facebook and Twitter today, we got here this morning, and for some reason we can't get our lights to work, so it's just a little bit of a weird look. But I'll tell you what, we're still here, and that's all that matters.
It's garage radio.
It's garage radio.
Open the door. Get the folding chairs with the green and white weave. Remember those? Watch the traffic go by.
And just drink some CBD oil. 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford looks good. And Skyway looks good. Your problem is on the Borman. We had that earlier as an accident between Kennedy and Indianapolis Boulevard. And that is backing things all the way up into Illinois, all the way to Torrance. So basically from Indianapolis Boulevard all the way to Torrance. Baker, I think you got to go eastbound. I think if you go down to Klein, should be okay. I don't know if you can get on at Kennedy. That would be nice to know if anybody's out there. Can you get on at Kennedy and go east and miss this?
Pull up the camera.
It's just too much work. So anyways, that would be, I'd like to just ask people, okay, that's cheating. Tell me. Somebody's driving. Can you get on at Kennedy and go eastbound?
People want to know now. They don't want to wait for somebody to call in.
So, it looks like you can get on at Kennedy and go eastbound, but let's get a confirmation on that. And that is very bad eastbound. I don't know how bad the how bad the accident is, but I can tell you this, that since we have to have the windows open here because we don't have any artificial light, you have one of the brightest suns of the year out to the east right now. And if you're driving into that, it's got to be bad visibility. And traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. What do you have in terms of the weather? High of 50 today. Right now, it's still cold. It's 27 degrees, and it's going up to that high of 50. The shower later this afternoon. Tomorrow, cloudy, a little rain, breezy. High of 57, finally warming up. And then high of 55 on Wednesday, mainly cloudy. Your normal high is 50, and that's what we're going to get today. So we're finally going to get up that far. And in terms of the sponsorship of that, thanks a lot to our good friends at Carpenter's Local 599. In terms of the markets, the Dow is up about 250 overnight after just getting spankety-wank crankshanked over the last few days, as the Dow is down 424 points to 20,533 on Friday. Let's talk to Carl on Local 599 phone line. And if you guys want to call in, do it now on 599 phone line. Hey, Carl, how you been, man?
Pretty good. You know, after listening to that last conversation, I got to wonder why you call Mr. Baker buzzkill. I mean, wow. I'm gonna go see a doctor and see if I can't get some antidepressants. I mean, that was just plain sad on sad. So if you don't mind, I'd like to change.
Sure. I mean, there's nothing we could do about that story, man. I mean, it's just I don't know what.
There's no uplifting way to get that out.
There was. Yeah, I don't even want to make any jokes. I can't even think of any. So what's going on in your world, man? What's happening?
So I was reading the paper this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and Mayor Snedeker out in Hobart, yeah, he's ordered a dam inspection.
Yeah.
Apparently there was some dam seepage.
Yeah, there was some dam seepage, and I think they're looking at doing a dam inspection.
So I guess I can get some damn pictures, some damn video.
Damn it.
You know what?
See, that's
doing,
funny,
man. I mean,
it's like, damn.
You know what? I kind of thought you were going there, and I'm like, what a goofball, man. It's
I
like,
told you I wanted to change direction on this.
so let's talk about this now. Do you guys been seeing a lot of beavers on the dam? And if there's beavers hanging out on the dam, are they dam beavers or what?
Oh, I don't know. If you ask Repay, you can talk about beavers and dams all day long on a little cow. But hey,
You know, one of
beavers with the dams.
One of the hardest shows ever to do was when Dan Repay brought in a 60-pound stuffed beaver and put it on the table here, and I just went all 8th grade on that thing, man. And there were people telling me driving around, they were just laughing, but there were others that were.
Tell me you had Facebook Live and you could broadcast this?
I don't remember if it was or not. If it was just right when we started, we might have been able to
bring it back. We still have it.
Oh, do you really? Bring the beaver back?
That could be a whole. That could all be a whole string of how nice that beaver looks and how well firm the beaver is,
And no, I was. The beaver was stuffed beaver sitting on the thing here, and I was petting the beaver, and then I
gotta ask, what was it stuffed with? I mean, what do you stuff a beaver with?
Or better yet, how do you find good beavers? Is that you got to go trolling for beavers, and that's how you find them.
Damn.
Get out of here! I gotta go. Bye.
I got yelled at for that whole string once.
Oh.
My
Yeah.
wife didn't think it was funny at all.
Yeah, but who brings a beaver in here and thinking I'm not gonna? I don't know what to tell you. I mean, excuse me. 219-845-1100. Baker, so you watch videos now? Is that it?
Oh, D-Lo, finally you put one of your shows on YouTube, because I have this thing since you started this whole Facebook Live thing. I just rebel against Facebook, so I actually watched it last night. So it was enlightening. How about that? I mean, as far as watching this, what we're doing here, it was kind of challenging for me. I mean, one, it's because it's me, and it's hard enough as it is, but it's like, is this a radio show on TV? Is this a TV show that's on the radio? Because with this messiness here, which, you know, bugs me, that's why you do it, and stretching and laughing and giggling and doing all that, I'm trying to understand where your premise is, because I'm always of the thought process, if you make this a TV station, let's make it a TV station.
Well, you get right to the crux of the matter, and if you read my blog, that's kind of the decision. As we're talking, some guys walking.
I thought your blog was just, you know, your poems and, you know, the sun rises over the tree line.
The sun eats the morning dew. Hey, listen, you know, you get right to the crux of the matter, and that
life's too short not to just do that. What's the deal?
Well, I think what it is that if I make this a television show, which we are very close to being able to do, we've got the capabilities, and you know, we got graphics we can put on the screen, and it can look like a TV show, and I can talk to the cameras, and I can act, hey, look at this, or play video highlights and so forth. Do you alienate the traditional part of the radio?
Absolutely.
And there are people that are driving around going, well, I don't want to listen to radio that's a TV show. You know, I'll listen to something else. But if you just stay on radio and you don't go into the new technology and take advantage of it. I mean, we're going gangbusters on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and we made a killing on doing the high school sectional. We didn't make a ton of money, but we made a killing in the views, 150,000 views on that. We put a softball game on last week for Purdue Northwest, 2,500 views. Then you do another one, you get another. I mean, there's people that want this stuff. There's a huge market for it. I just don't know if you can do both at the same time. You know what I mean? I don't know if that'll work in this market.
Are you going to try?
Well, I think we're kind of trying now. And what I think my sense of it is that we have a number of shows that are only on Facebook now and only on Twitter. And that ultimately we're going to do a lot of broadcasting that is just for that, especially with a lot of the younger kids and the more innovative people that are just going to go to Facebook and Twitter.
Facebook isn't kids. Facebook is all old people like us.
Yeah, but they'll also they'll watch it, and there's a lot of young people watching these videos on Twitter and Facebook, and now it's starting on YouTube, but it's not even an age thing. It's like, I don't know what the answer is, and quite frankly, Billy, nobody knows what the answer is in terms of radio, because there's other radio stations that are like, heck, man, we're getting so many people that watch us and so forth. What do we do here? And then the new advertisers come and they say, hey, listen, I want to be on I want to advertise on that video feed. We had one on Friday. They called us up and they want to give us a video commercial. And they said, well, why don't you just play our video, instead of playing it on the radio, just play it on the video commercial. And Debbie and I are like, we got together and they go, all right, well, we want to start. How much is it? And we're like, I don't know. Beats the Sam hell out of me. What's it cost? I don't know.
It's called a beaver.
Yeah, it's a beaver. Hey, CBD oil. Let's take some CBD oil and go trolling for beavers.
I mean, don't you think that should be part of the business plan maybe going into 2018 and kind of figure out how to do that and how it would be put in and how often you would run it and how would that, integrate with what's on the radio and think about it before it happens instead of, oh man, here comes the blitz. What am I going to do?
We are doing that, but you know what? One of the biggest issues is kind of related to the Cambridge Analytica story, is that there is no regulation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. There's none.
Right.
But then we are like uber regulated on the radio. So we have things that can go here, but they can't go there.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you ask me, the number one, hurdle to just full-blown taking over the local video market is regulation. And over the weekend, the massive amount of talk that was all up Meet the Press, they haven't mentioned it at all. All of a sudden, people are coming in and go, what are we going to do about Facebook? How are we going to regulate this? How are we going to regulate social media? And at the same time, if you ask me, part of that discussion would be how are we going to ease up on radio and television, but nobody's saying that. So I don't know how to navigate the regulatory environment suavely enough to be able to do what you're talking about.
Why worry about that and put that or elevate that on the list of things to worry about? Why not just put a good product out and then as that comes through, adapt based upon how the bureaucrats decide they're going to do the regulation?
Well, in the meantime, I could be in violation, and I know...
Violation of what? You're probably violating things 8 ways to Sunday every day.
Once we go and make it a television show that streams on the internet, and we start doing things that are... We'll start playing spots that are video, and we start, having people have a little bit freer, open discussion, which is needed on video and so forth. There's a lot of hurdles, and I don't want to go into each one of them because there's people that hate me.
And it's boring too.
There's people that hate me and would love to just pin me to the wall for something. So I don't want to give them any ammunition. But understand this: it is the regulation that slows the whole thing down.
Well, and there's competition too. I'm sure the Times is looking at doing all this stuff, and they're looking at trying to push everybody out, just like we saw that before. But people want to find out what's going around locally here and try to talk about the things that we know about and the people that we talk to and that you bring in here. They want to know about that, and they don't find that in Chicago, and they don't find that for the most part out of the newspaper. But once in a while you get a couple of giggles and you talk about stuff that's going on, and you have to put the the grown-up pants on once in a while. But those are things that are specific to what, in my opinion, your business is here, and sometimes that'll get lost in all of the things that are going on from the business perspective. Because
do you realize how ridiculous this conversation is?
Ridiculous?
Yeah. You have been sitting here bemoaning the fact that I have just invested and continue to invest in new technologies and bringing along
bemoaning.
Yeah, you're like, oh man, just put it on the radio. That's all I want to hear.
No,
that's what you've talked to me forever.
The content could be on the video. You could do all those types of things, but I still think the actual subject matter should be very similar. It should be about what's going on here. It's bringing in those type of individuals that we all know that are characters, if you will. Plus you bring in the politicians, plus you bring in the sports people, but it's the stuff that happens in the region. That's kind of what I vision. I mean, this is your radio show and this is your business. I get it.
What if it's not a radio show anymore? Do you know how many people, old timers, are going to get mad?
Well, is it going to be no longer a radio show? Yeah, that I would get mad too, because I'm still going to look for it on the radio in the car. And walking around in the morning. I mean, that's kind of how it is.
Why do you need to? So, in other words,
it's different.
What this discussion is right now is that I swear, Baker, for years you have. Why are you doing that? Facebook this, and why are you continuing to spend money there, and why are you going to conferences? And then all of a sudden you're going to come in here and tell me, well, hey, man, you might as well just make it a TV show. I get it. Here's what I get. I get this part.
You don't listen to me anyway, so what the hell difference does it make?
So here's the difference.
If you're going to do it, at least do it. Jump in the deep end. Quit wading in from the shallows. Just go.
Well, let me just put it to you this way. There's a spirit that is WJOB and you're part of it, that is very special and very dear to a lot of people's hearts. And so we have to decide, where are we going to take this long-standing tradition and spirit, and how are we going to repackage it for a new generation? And I think you're right. I can't believe I hear a lot of things in my day that freak me out, but Billy Baker coming in here and going, well, why don't you just go all in on this?
You did
after
already.
all these years. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I looking at all this stuff, I might as well be in, at CNN. What the hell?
All right.
Let's go. You know, I mean, shouldn't there be somebody counting us down? And here's the camera, and here's what we're doing.
We bought a one of those screens that goes in front of the
Really?
camera,
Have
so
the
I can
beach in the background, you know, so
all
we
that
can sit-
stuff. and Christina's over here. Well, why don't we do this now? And I'm like, Christina, we have to do it in stages because people will freak out if all of a sudden.
No, tell them the real truth. You're not going to see anything happen until Jimmy decides it's time to go, because nothing happens until Jimmy's decision.
You know what I just decided? It's time for Billy to go. Hey, man, thanks for coming in. I got somebody here I got to talk to.
All right, hey, everybody, remember, life's too short not to laugh more. Make it a great week.
Talk to you. See you. Bye. All right, be right back. Hey, Dave DeVilla, what are you doing?
Flu season got you down? Just left the doctor's office and don't want to wait in line at the pharmacy? Hi, this is Ellen from Quick Scripts Pharmacy inviting you to stop into any one of our 3 locations to experience our fast and friendly service to get you out the door and feeling better faster. We accept all insurances, have free local delivery, on-site one-on-one pharmacist consultations, and competitive pricing on generics and over-the-counter products. We are located in downtown Lansing, Illinois, downtown Griffith, Indiana, and our newest location off of 231 in Parrish Avenue in St. John, Indiana. Stop in today.
From the Strachan Van Til Studios, your local Strachan Van Til has some great products on sale this week. Here's a few items you might want to add to your shopping list. California Cuties, 5-pound box, $4.99 each. Purdue split chicken breasts or thighs, 88 cents a pound. 12-ounce 12-pack Coca-Cola, Sprite, Mountain Dew, Lipton Brisk, 7-Up, RC Cola, and Canada Dry, $2.99 each when you buy 3, limit 2 offers. Strachan Van Til, proud to be Indiana-made and dedicated to being Indiana's grocery store.
For generations, you've trusted Edgewater Systems to provide compassionate, high-quality care. As the science of behavioral health has evolved, it's revealed the important connection between physical and behavioral health. With this in mind, we're pleased to introduce Edgewater Health, which includes primary care, in addition to our long-standing mental health and addiction services. Whichever combination of services you need, Edgewater Health is here for you for your whole life. Learn more at edgewaterhealth.org.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? 751 in the Calumet region. We got a problem going on going eastbound on the Borman, and that's a pretty nasty accident. I don't have nobody's texting me any pictures or anything, and you got to back up from basically between Indianapolis and Kennedy all the way into Illinois. That's all the way to Torrance. And that's a bad place to have it right now. Like, you don't realize how many people actually commute going that direction. 294, if you're going up to O'Hare, also has an accident. And that is, let's see, the left lane around Ogden Avenue. And that's backing things up a couple of miles. So those are your 2 main problems. 80 going east and west to Joliet looks pretty good. Coming up the gut is the Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan look pretty good. It's kind of weird. Get these big accidents elsewhere, and the one road that's always a problem is wide open today. So is the Skyway and the toll road. And traffic is brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. What you guys have to think about, and I don't know if this was a factor in this accident, but driving to the east right now is just a huge sunrise, a beautiful sunrise, not a cloud in the sky on the east, and it is just glaring right into these studios. You could actually look in here and see us right now, and I'm like, since our lights aren't working, half my face is just all lit up. And so anybody driving to the east right now, slow it down. If there's another way to maybe take a little bit of a break, it's a little bit better now than it was 20 minutes ago. Give it another 20 minutes, the sun should be high enough to drive right into that. Hey, let's take a look at what the weather is right now at the Strachan Van Til Studios here. It is 29 degrees. And at local 697 along Indianapolis, or along I-65, and where certified electrician is housed, that is 28 degrees. And at local 41 in Munster, it's 30 degrees. Going up to a high of 50 today, shower late this afternoon. Tomorrow, high of 57, cloudy, a little rain and breezy. And then Wednesday, a high of 55, mainly cloudy. Hey, let's move on with some talk with Ryan Riethel of Local 697. Speaking of that fine union, how you doing there, Ryan?
I'm doing fantastic. And yourself?
It's a beautiful day in the region. Going to get 50 degrees. Finally.
50 still isn't warm enough, Jim.
Where'd you grow up, Rethel?
Maryville.
Maryville? Did you go to Maryville High?
I did, class of 95.
Class of 95. How long you been an electrician?
Since 96.
Oh, you went right in, huh?
In.
Did you know somebody?
No, it took me actually 2 years to get in. I first applied in 95. Got close, but didn't get in, and came back in 96.
Did you flunk the test or what?
I didn't flunk the test. There's always a lot of people applying for it.
Yeah, there always is. Yeah. How do you apply for 697 to get in?
So through our website, on the apprenticeship website, we actually now take applications 24/7, year-round.
Oh, really?
So we're accepting applications year-round. We interview year-round with the aptitude test as well, and then we take a group of kids 4 times a year, depending on work.
Rethel and 697 have been a longtime sponsor here, along with the NECA contractors. The electrical contractors in the union got together and they come up with certifiedelectrician.com. And then, hey, Christina, can you come over here? There you go. And they've come to put that together, and they've been a longtime sponsor here. So we thank you, just like always. Hey, you guys do a lot of stuff in the community, huh?
We do, and getting ready here in just a few weeks for the American Heart Association for their annual gala.
And how you doing? What's your name today? I'm sorry. I had notes in front of me, but since they said we got to clean up the table because we have guests, they've taken my notes. Yeah.
Kemp with American Heart Association.
Diane Kemp with the American Heart Association. So what is your position there?
I am vice president for Northwest Indiana and Outstate Indiana.
Okay, so there is a big gala coming up.
There is. We're excited about it.
And what's the date on that?
April 14th.
And is that a Saturday?
It is.
And where's it at?
It's at the Avalon.
And how much are tickets?
Well, actually, we sell half tables.
Half tables?
Mm-hmm. And half tables are $1,500, and it accommodates 5. Or we have 2 VIP honorees who can attend, and that's $1,000 for 2.
So it's kind of pricey, but it raises money for what?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for the question. It raises money for life-saving research and has for many years. You know, when people look at who American Heart Association is, we want them to be able to connect the dots with the magnitude that we've had on lives. When we're talking about individuals who've had angioplasty or stents or pacemakers or valve replacements, that's us. American Heart Association fingerprint is on the chest of every one of those individuals, as we are the lead funder, second to none for research, and have been second to none other than the U.S. government.
So I mean, this is kind of like the there's not only a research and charity component and doing good in the community component, life-saving stuff, but it's also kind of a pretty big social event for the spring. And along with that, there's a lot of auction items, right? What kind of stuff?
We do. We have, there's a variety of things, from jewelry to vacation getaways and experiences, unique experiences, some art. It's,
any
sports,
cruises?
You know, we'll have to check on that.
I'm looking for a cruise.
Yeah, let me take a look.
I went to Fort Lauderdale, and it kept going over the bridges, and they had all these big, massive boats sitting there, and I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to go on a cruise? What a better place than to buy it at one of these auctions. We bought a Jackson Hole, Wyoming condo one time, and that was pretty cool. So we're talking to Diane Kemp and Ryan Rethel. Ryan, what's your position with this Heart Association thing?
This year, I am the chairman for the gala.
Oh, really?
I am.
What about Will?
Will Glaros?
Yeah.
Will's term was 2 years ago, wasn't it, Diane?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so Will's no longer the head tin cup rattler.
That's it. Every year it rotates, and this is my turn to rattle.
You know, and that's you know, and I make fun of that, but I mean that's part of what you got to get out there, and it's like, hey man, you guys need to support this, and typically it's a lot of times someone that's like had a heart attack or had somebody that's had heart problems, they're like, all right, you know what, this is the right thing to give to, and you got to find those people.
You're exactly right.
And so you guys are out, trying to, get more people to come to this and to get donations and to get stuff for the auctions, I imagine.
You are correct.
Cool. So Diane, tell us about it. What's Heart Association? Give us some stats. How many people heart disease affects and all that stuff?
Yes. Well, Jim, actually, heart disease for decades has been the #1 cause of death for men. It is also the leading cause, unfortunately, of death for women aged 25 and older. So one would think you have to be 65, 70 years old, or perhaps have risk factors and smoke and or be obese, and that is not the case. That is not the face of cardiovascular disease. It is a disease that invades life at early ages, and when we're talking about youth, it is the #1 birth defect, congenital heart defects. So the magnitude is more than I can ever articulate this morning during this conversation.
New studies come out that shows that women are more likely to die of a heart attack, partly because it often goes misdiagnosed. The nausea, the pain in the chest, a lot of time women will just kind of chalk it up to indigestion. And whereas with men, I mean, they know. It's like, all right, they're a little more aware that, I saw so-and-so at the bowling alley have a heart attack. I know what this is all about. How do you get women to understand that it's equal opportunity killer, basically?
It is, unfortunately. It's really through education and awareness and through our Go Red for Women campaign, which is a program that really elevates the understanding in the female population that this is a disease that manifests very differently in women. It could be as little as jawline pain, even lower back pain, neck pain. It's not the classic symptom elephant on the chest or numbness of my arm like our male counterparts have, right?
Yeah, the male, I mean, that's a kind of a big one is numbness. And believe me, anytime, like my left arm falls asleep, I mean, you're automatic. I mean, I've done these interviews. I wouldn't know all of, like about heart and what are the symptoms and why are women, women just tend not to acknowledge the symptoms if I haven't, interviewed other people, heart doctors and other folks in the heart community. But it always just, like sometimes you'll be with a relative and they'll say, hey, my arm and my back's hurting. And no one ever wants to think, oh, it might be you're having a heart problem because they think of it as a man problem. And it's not. It's actually almost more of a woman's problem when you boil it down.
Yeah, fatality is much greater in the female population. Yeah. And because of the fact that it's oftentimes also misdiagnosed and ignored by women because we feel perhaps it's perimenopausal or menopausal or hormonal changes that are happening. And so it is ignored and dismissed oftentimes.
So where's the biggest breakthroughs in hearts right now? I mean, what kind? I mean, we're talking about research and raising money for that. Where are some of the big breakthroughs right now going on?
Well, there's a big project that's taking place, which is the cardiomyogenesis project, and it will be game-changing. Also, some of the things that we're doing with cholesterol control and blood pressure, and really making sure we're moving the needle on reducing risk. So a lot of exciting things happening. Where we were back in 2000, we had no idea the drug-eluting stents were going to be a game changer. And in 2003, it really started to show what the difference could make between a stent or a drug-eluting stent. And so stents aren't collapsing anymore. They're staying open. And that's exciting. And
people are living longer because of it.
Absolutely. And their quality life, right? So how do we not only save lives, but how do we get that person from the couch, shortness of breath, not feeling well, back on the golf course, even at ages 75 and 80? And to me, that's exciting.
That's exciting, but for a golfer who's kind of a golfer snob, I don't know how many 80-year-old guys I want out on the golf course in front of me. So, maybe we'll just stay away from that advocation. Is that okay?
We can do that,
all right,
Jim.
Good enough. Hey, he's Ryan Riethel. I've played with him also. Ryan Riethel is the president or the head of the Heart of Gold Gala. It's going to be on April 14th. Ryan, somebody wants to get involved. How do they get a hold of you, or what do they do?
Diane's got the website link.
Okay, yeah, go ahead with it. And so the Heart of Gold Gala is on April 14th. Half tables are $1,500. I'll be out there. WJOB is always a good supporter of this. And a lot of the union folks around here, if Rethel's involved with 697, some of his union guys, there'll be a lot of union folks out there. If you've had somebody that has had heart issues or folks and you are of means and you have the money to do it, this is a pretty good cause and you're going to want to come out. And how do they get a hold of you, or what's the website?
Sure, Jim. They can visit www.heart.org/NWI Heart of Gold.
NWI Heart of Gold. It's heart.org, NWI Heart of Gold. Anything else you want to add to this?
That's it. That's it. Come on out, join us, embrace the movement, and enjoy the event. It's going to be fantastic.
Any music?
Absolutely. We're going to have music. We're going to have a gathering afterwards, some networking opportunity. We're expecting about 650 guests.
Are you going to have like some important people in the area? How about if I have just a couple extra and I just start going around making fun of people? You think that'll help our business? So don't answer that, okay? I'm known to answer that. You know how to take that. That's all right. I get it. It's happened before, put it that way. All right, hey, this thing is a lot of fun, and it's for a great cause. Thanks for coming in, Ryan.
Thanks
for all the work. I know how much I know Will pretty well, and I know how much work this gala is and how much putting this together, and you're kind of almost living and breathing it for a few months.
Definitely.
So thanks a lot for putting all that work in.
We certainly appreciate your support here at WJOB, and I also want to thank you, too, for the support you gave us for our spring blood drive this year at Local 697. We broke our record with 163 pints collected, so thanks for supporting us on that.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, but, it's just an amazing thing what a little guilt will do. When you start guilting people, like, hey, you losers out there, you're not working today, it's raining, get up and go give blood because somebody might die if you don't. And then next thing you know, their guilt works really well in those situations. Just remember that. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Hey, I'm Jim Delo. I'm out of here, and I see Karen Maravilla is the next voice that you're going to hear. Catering by Steve. See ya.
Not only does Catering by Steve's